Hello, Virgo and Virgo risings. Okay, so we're focusing on the eclipse, this new moon. So there's normally a time to manifest at the new moon, which is the time to write down all of the things that you'd like to materialize into your existence and to work with your inspirations and turn some of those thought forms and ideas into some sort of tangible reality. And then there's a new moon that happens at a solar eclipse, which is when we actually have to lay down and take it. Now, this isn't to disempower us, and this isn't to anything to be frightened of. I think that that's one thing I really want to caveat all of these readings with, is that to have an interest in astrology and the planetary movements and how they potentially affect our experience, and to look at tarot cards for advice and for guidance, you're never doomed to any kind of bad fortune. That's superstition. We use these tools to make greater sense of times in our lives when things are feeling really turbulent, and when we're feeling scared or lost, we look to these forms of divination for guidance and for healing. So eclipses do bring about profound change. They have a history and a reputation for fixing or course correcting different patterns or paths in life that have run off course or run a different way than where they are destined. Big changes can happen at an eclipse. Big decisions can be made. Big life changes can occur. There's a sense of practicality, and there's a sense of, and I don't want to say cynicism, and I don't want to say skepticism, but when it comes to your greater worldview or your spiritual worldview, there is something really practical and really grounded in fact that you need from a teacher or from a lesson or from a course of study or a book or whatever. There's a great part of you, Virgo, that is just really earthbound. You know, you're an earth sign. Taurus is also an earth sign, and Taurus is the one that rules your ninth house of these different aspects. The ninth house talks about education, philosophy, religion, travel, mind expansion, all of these sorts of things. And for you, you feel most comfortable and most adept and safe and willing to receive information if it's grounded in some sort of material tangibility. The eclipse is happening here. So I don't know if you are a believer of some sort of like spiritual awakening. I don't know if you've been feeling a bit destabilized when it comes to the veil between the spirit world and the 3D world that we all exist in. I'm not sure if something's happened, something's peaked, or something's shifted in your perspective or understanding of these different realms that has kind of destabilized you a bit and kind of really done the opposite of what you'd prefer. Maybe you've been offered the opportunity to study somewhere, or maybe you've been offered the opportunity to take a big trip, like to expand the mind and the physical space, and you're scared shitless. You're worried that you can't afford it, or you're worried that you aren't qualified, or you're worried that it was supposed to be offered to somebody else and they didn't receive that, but you did, and you're a fraud. Hypothetically, it doesn't have to be any of these things, but I'm getting a sense that there is definitely something that has the potential for great growth for you, and it's on this ecliptic. It's the eclipse is sort of heightening this, so rest assured that it's kind of out of your hands now. It's actually got nothing to do with you. The hand of spirit has taken over and will make the choices for you. So in that way, I want you to set down some of the self-sabotage that is so prone to happen in a Virgo soul. Pop it down. Know that you work really hard. Know that you've been busting your gut, and that you are really earthbound. You are really practical. You are really centered, and you know, it takes you a lot to fly off the handle into fantasy land. As much as you enjoy that, as much as you really love that space of manifestation and conjuring and mysticism, you love that world, but it takes you a lot to sort of go there. So saying all of this, what this eclipse is going to bring for you is going to be a change that is absolutely vital and necessary for your soul development. You have earned it as well. I want you to put all of those feelings of fraudulence to the side, because it's actually not true, and you're not going to lose out if you take the risk. If you take this up, you're not going to be left destitute. You're not going to be thrown out in the cold. You're not going to be cast aside. Whatever I'm talking about, this shift, this movement, is positive, and it's for your greater good, and it's for the good of everyone. It's for your part to play in our soul's journey is just as vital as everybody else's, and for you to be going into a space of mind expansion, into a space that can potentially, I don't know if we're talking about like a teaching position. It doesn't have to be any of these things, but just this kind of expansion, I think, is the word that we'll use. I want you to enjoy the fruits of your labor through this turbulent change, through this absolute whirlwind that it might actually feel like. These changes have happened so quickly. To kind of counterbalance and remedy some of these feelings that we've discussed, I want to let you know that there's a beautiful conjunction that's happening in Pisces right now, right at the moment of this eclipse. So Jupiter, who has just let go of Neptune, is now holding hands with Venus. So as far as art and beauty and love and sensuality and romance and all of those lovely feelings, that might be really activated for you right now. Your 7th house is in Pisces. So we've talked about it before, I think, in some of your horoscopes, where you do kind of look to your intimate relationships for a bit of fantasy, for a bit of your ability to fantasize about them and to follow their lead in terms of diving deep into the esoteric or whatever it is that whatever language you like to use for the dreamscape. If you're not coupled right now, then allow yourself to dream about it. And if you are, then, and it's filling you up, it's filling your cup, it's making you feel some love and joy and respite after all of the hard work that you have been actively and will continue to actively engage in, then allow some of that comfort and that beautiful sensuality to buoy you on as you prepare for this big change, this big journey into expanding the mind or shifting the body, this new frontier, we'll put it that way. This eclipse is going to be really positive for you, Virgo. I think compared to some other signs, your experience of this, I imagine, will be quite fruitful and quite bountiful, and the changes will feel like a bit of a roller coaster, but you're primed for them. I'm going to leave this one here. I think that's short and sharp, and I've gotten everything out that I needed to say. All the very best with eclipse season. I'll be back with you in 2 weeks to talk about the full lunar eclipse that's happening in Scorpio in 2 weeks, which, just FYI, which will work as a sort of counterbalancing energy to the changes that are initiated at this solar eclipse. And this is a long process, so all of these feelings and emotions and changes that are bubbling up, you're going to be feeling this for a time after. This isn't a quick transit. So I'm always open to discussing anything that comes up with this stuff. Do let me know how it's going for you, how the eclipse is showing up in your world. But yeah, head over to umaruby.com. I'm going to put the link to this little podcast there. Share it to all your friends if they like to listen to their horoscopes. This is probably a really important one to have a listen to. I love you very much, and I will speak to you in 2 weeks for the lunar eclipse in Scorpio. Take care.